And welcome once again to Community Viewpoint. I'm John Pollock, your host, still your host after 18 years. And I have with me a good friend of mine, Mike Smith from CNS Disposal Services, but you know them as Pahrump Valley Disposal.
That's how it is. Pahrump
Yes.
Valley Disposal.
Yes. And we're going to be talking about a change in the weather and the change in recycling happening December 1st. And it's going to affect the bins that are at Walmart, and there's a specific reason, an important reason for that happening. And Mike, if you want to go into the...
Absolutely. So on December 1st, what we're going to do at Walmart is we're going to start to man those facilities. We'll have employees there. We're going to talk to the public about what's recyclable, what's not, what is, some of the things in the recycling market have changed quite a bit over the last few years. And primarily what we're trying to do is alleviate the trash from those sites. It's been an ongoing problem with illegal dumping.
Yes.
Mattresses, couches, bags of stuff, everything being thrown in there. And quite honestly, it's not fair to the people who are really trying to do the right things and, recycle. So over the last 6 or 7 years, we've gone from 10-12% contamination rate per se to about a 50% contamination rate, 40 to 50%. So our goal is to try and re-educate, do that stuff with the public and see how that works.
Yeah, folks, that's half of what's in there is contaminated.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're going to have someone on call there?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to have actually 3 people there. We're going to have 2 people that will help everyone look through bags, look through their recyclables that they bring down there. We'll have recycling flyers for the public, so it'll help everyone understand what is recyclable now and what isn't. And obviously, I think just having the people down there will eliminate some of the mattresses that are being thrown on the side of the containers. So that's kind of our goal.
And the time that they're going to be there?
So the time is going to be, we're going to have them there from about 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. I think everyone's used to having those containers 24/7 there. And what we're going to do for the first 30 days is we're going to be there 7 to 3:30. And then somewhere around 3:30, 4 o'clock, we're going to remove those containers till the next morning. So it's kind of like going to be open for service from 7 to 3:30 going forward.
It's no big deal because Walmart, Albertsons, and Smith's has cut back their hours too. They used to be 24 hours too. So it's no big deal, but it's for the betterment of our landfill and the fact that you get return on the stuff that we send away.
Yeah, and so in the last 7 or 8 years, the material that we send out and we bale and do that type of stuff for, it needs to be cleaner anyway. One of the things again over the last 5+ years is the contamination rate in that material, and really and truly it's at 0. So when we bale, when we try to do that, we clean it up the best we can, and then that's how we do it. If the particular buyer or broker doesn't like that material and it's too dirty, then they just won't buy it, and it has no value after that.
And where are these brokers at?
Usually, most of that stuff is shipped to the port of Los Angeles. A lot of it goes to Los Angeles. Some of the brokers that just deal with that in order to get it down to the port. We bale everything and then we sell it baled.
And that's where it would come back from?
Yep. Yep.
Not all the way to China.
Well, really and truly, yes. A lot of the material goes overseas. We have very little in the United States. We have very little. We used to have 5 or 6 paper mills. Now there's 1. But everything goes overseas. A lot of stuff Vietnam. A lot of stuff China. All that stuff. I mean, that's been the way for quite a few years.
And then we forget about it, and we just sort of dump on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's part of the reason why it has to be cleaner now. Is the change in the rules for anything overseas is that 0%, because in the international community, they were tired of being dumped on. You used to be able to have a 30-35% kind of contamination thing in there, but then they have to pull it apart and then they have to bury it, as a solid waste. So that's part of the reason why this stuff has changed so much and why it's so important for this material to be clean.
So we go from the containers that are in Walmart to your place over on near the
Yeah, on Mesquite,
Mesquite.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and then you have
we sort it.
you take it out of there, and you have a line that you sorted with people, 4 or 5 people on the sorting line.
Yeah, correct. We have approximately 10 people up there. We bring the material from the Walmarts. We also bring material from Beatty Amargosa.
Oh, okay.
And the same style bins. They each have one. We dump it on the floor, and then we sort through it to try and clean it, and get it cleaner as well. And then that material then is baled. And once it's baled, then we basically search the market for the best pricing on, because it's a commodity pricing, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's $100 and sometimes it's got $20 value on it, That's just the way that thing is. But what it really does, it keeps it out of the landfill, and that gives us landfill life, right? So we pull that material out every year, we bale it, we get rid of it, and again, it helps with landfill longevity.
So we want to keep this up,
Yeah.
but there's less than that we can send overseas because, well, let's take it the things with the triangles. It's only 1 and 2 now. The plastics.
Correct. Plastics are number 1s and number 2s. Aluminum cans, metal, tin. The tin cans, things like that, and your mixed plastics, like you said, number 1s and 2s. Glass. We do take electronic waste if you bring it up to our metal recycling yard,
Right.
as well as metal too, because we have a buyback center up there that we'll be happy to purchase water heaters, appliances, things like that from you. But you can drop your electronic waste. We have a bin right inside the gate that's marked for that, so you can drop that off. And again, it keeps it out of the landfill.
And
Then cardboard.
be very careful of the copper that comes in there, because I brought copper and I had to leave my driver's license.
Well, you have to do that. That's part of the deal. Yeah, I mean, hey, part of the regulatory aspect of a scrap yard in the state of Nevada is
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, you have to fingerprint. You have to do a driver's license and ID, and you have to take a picture of the material and the person that's bringing the material. So
Because there's certain people out there.
That's a state law. So
God.
absolutely.
And another thing that I found that I've told you about when I go to the containers at Walmart, I've seen people inside and doing their
Yeah.
recycling, and
Yeah.
that's really, well, stupid and dangerous.
Yeah, it can potentially be dangerous. You can get cut, you can get hurt, you can do a lot of things. But also too is, there's rules and regulations about things like that. I mean, really and truly, once that material is in that bin, it becomes property of the disposal service.
Okay.
So in a sense, you're stealing.
Yeah.
You're stealing, and you're taking it out of the system, which is a system that we want to track. We want to make sure we have all the weights and everything else. It goes back to the landfill.
So because we know that it's the only place in town that has paper bags is Smith's. You can get it yourself when you're checking out, or you could ask them to use paper bags. But everybody has plastic, so the plastic bags do not go into recycling.
No.
So you can bring those really thin plastic bags that get caught up in bearings and everything. You can bring them back to the stores. Home Depot? Yeah. Home Depot and Albertsons, Walmart, and Smith's will take their plastic bags back again. And kudos to Smith's for having paper bags if you care to use those. Or you can get your own reusable bags too, but only use those for a certain time because they get ratty.
Yeah, they get a little old.
Yes. So this is very interesting, and it's unfortunate that it's come to this.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing about the thing that happens at Walmart too is and the reason for these changes is not to discourage recycling, it's to increase recycling with clean material, and that's really what we're trying to do. We've had multiple complaints from residents that use it about the illegal dumping, the residual trash that's left around it. There's no room. We do dump them twice a day, but when you're at a 40 or 50% of that stuff is just trash, that makes it very difficult. It makes it difficult for the guys in the yard to get it clean, and that's the end game. You know, it needs to be as clean as possible in order to get rid of it as a recycling commodity.
So if you're in the process of changing containers, when you go and come back, if there's a open slot, you'll find garbage sitting there again.
Yeah, and I think with this change too is people who like yourself are good recyclers and things like that. It's gonna you know, again, the industry has changed, so it will help re-educate people on what is it, because nobody wants to drag something down to Walmart that is not recyclable. You know, you'll dispose of that the proper way at home, and you only want to bring the stuff down to the bin that is recyclable materials. So that's part of the reason too, is to just, you know, help everybody be better at what they do.
And one of my pet peeves is, well, the boxes that we put in there are always broken down. But I look in there, and then you could save half your space with the boxes if people would crush them, dismantle them, because there's so many boxes that they take up too much space.
Yeah, and that's something else that, you know, as this program changes a little bit, we'll probably have a cardboard only box, you know, things like that, to kind of keep that out of these particular bins. But again, that goes hand in hand with, you know, putting people down there to help everyone understand what goes on in these programs. The program has been an amazing program over the years. Also considering it's a public drop-off, and we haven't had to put anybody there. Yeah. And over the years, I mean, the participation is great, and that's kudos to our customers, to the people who just use it, everyone. But we're at a point here now where you know, I mean, like some things that go on, people take advantage of that, and they decide to dump all the things that aren't supposed to be in there.
Yeah, well, it's not only that, but my friend Faith with a Cleanup Pahrump, she always goes out with her group, and people just dump everything any place that they want to.
Correct.
It's big stuff, small stuff, metal stuff, and it's not only here that they misuse that.
Right.
They do that all over the place.
Right.
So it's going to be a learning curve, and this is all going to begin December 1st.
Yep, December 1st, 7 a.m. We'll have some people down there. They're very well trained in what we can take and not take. And again, I think it's important for the public to understand that this is, you know, it is about getting the trash out, but it's also about educating the public on, you know, what now is recyclable, how it would be nice to get it, and we'll still take it to the yard, and we will do the final sort on it and clean it and those types of things. But we're trying to, we really are trying to get it cleaner.
Okay, well, thank you. We're out of time.
Absolutely.
But we're not out of trash. So we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks.
Well, it's time again for Community Viewpoint. And I have with me, once again, Paula Elefante. And she's going to give us a little recap on what happened at the PowWow this year, the social PowWow. And before we get into that, I got my booster shot today. I went to Walgreens, and for some reason, I could have had any reservation throughout the day. You can go there basically anytime during the day, make it a reservation and get yourself your booster shot. So I don't know if they're not getting the word out there or not, but if you're ready for it, folks, you can register and get your booster shot, and we'll see what happens with the booster shot.
You didn't go to the VA to do that. They're doing them too.
I know, but I can do it immediately. We're at the VA. It doesn't necessarily happen, yes.
Yeah, the clinic here does them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're a little weird after that one storm. It's hard to get in there. I'm sorry. But anyway, the building didn't bode well. But anyway, it's not the people's fault. It's just the construction fault. So anyway, social PowWow number what?
This was the 22nd, and last year would have been the 22nd annual, but you know we jumped a year, and so this was the 22nd annual from Social PowWow
at Petrick Park.
At Petrick Park, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was my 19th year of doing this, and it was great. The weather
was fantastic.
We couldn't have asked for better weather. It got a little warm, you know. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was 2, 3. It was kind of warm out there, which was okay. It's okay. And our vendors, we have so many vendors, as many of you know, because you go looking for those same vendors year after year. We have so many vendors that have returned year after year. And they
That's good.
come here, they tell me they like coming to Pahrump because of you, the people. They like the people here. We're friendly. They just love coming here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had any new groups coming, Native American groups, or just repeats of what's been coming out in the past? You have the Aztecs.
You're talking the dancers
The
or
dancers.
the vendors or?
The dancers,
drums.
basically.
Yeah, we had a couple new dancers. Our Aztec dancers. This was their 16th year.
I remember
Coming.
when they first came out.
And I know this because Adolfo, the head of the group, his son was 9 months old the first year they were here. The first year. And so I saw the kid and I said, "How old are you now?" And he goes, 16. And he's got his braces and he says, "I'm learning to drive." And I said, "That's so cool." So they've been coming for 16 years. They love coming to Pahrump. So this year has been a challenge. Our northern drum that we had 2 years ago, we had to replace because their lead singer passed away earlier this year from COVID. Then our southern drum told me about 4 months ago that they couldn't come because a couple members of their family were dealing with cancer issues and they didn't want to go out and take a chance of bringing home a virus or anything like that. So we replaced the southern drum. My MC, Marvin, everybody knows
Oh, yeah,
Marvin.
Marvin,
Marvin's
yeah.
been coming for, I think, about 14 years. He's been coming to Pahrump, the arena director. 2 months ago, we had to replace him. He was going through radiation. I mean, it's just been one.
Wow.
And then 2 weeks ago, I had to replace our head man, our head lady. So as I'm moving forward, and the committee's moving forward to make this happen, we keep getting knocked back with having to do quick changes. But all in all, it was perfect.
And you've lost the code talkers 3 years ago,
Yeah,
right?
we used to have Joe Morris. He was a code talker, and but he's with us every year in spirit because if you walk around our teepee, you're going to see a large handprint. It's black paint, and it's on the back of the teepee. And Joe, the last year he was here,
Put his hand.
yeah, we put his hand in black paint and said, "Put it on the teepee." So when he did, he blessed the teepee, and so he's with us every year.
Oh,
He's
that's
at
wonderful.
the PowWow every year.
That's great, and it's great you had good weather because you had 3 or 4 years that were miserable.
Yeah, I have vendors. I even have the public, that'll say, "You remember the year when we had rain?" Yeah, I remember. "You remember the year when it was so cold?" I mean, the daytime was like in the low 40s, high 30s. It was freezing. And the year that we shut down early because it was snowing all the way around. And so to get people out of here and not have them be stuck here because of the snow on the mountains, and then another time the winds. Winds came up at night, blew over a couple of the canopies, merchandise flying, So every year is a new challenge and it's a new experience and I love it.
Well, that's great. Maybe in a minute or so we'll show some of the pictures then while we're speaking of that.
Yeah.
And
Now we're already working on next year. Before I was out of the park Sunday night, I made a phone call to someone I know that has a teepee. So next year we're probably going to have 2 teepees set up.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of
That's-
excited about that.
That's you know what you have to do.
Yeah.
So let's see a couple of the pictures that we were able to pull off of Facebook.
That's a couple of the Aztec dancers.
In the park?
Yeah, I'm not sure who took that picture, but looks like it's through a doorway, doesn't it?
I know. So let's see that's a pretty picture right there with the clouds.
Yeah, and they're doing a circle dance there.
And that's with the
Everybody.
civilians?
Yep, everybody. It's an audience participation.
Okay.
There's a couple
That's a
of the
pretty
Aztec
picture there,
dancers.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, behind the teepee.
And there's your color guard?
That's our color guard. And those gentlemen come up here from the Gila River Indian Reservation down in near, I think that's just near the Phoenix area. And the gentleman in front carrying the staff,
Yes.
his name is Roy, and he was president of the Native American Veterans Association. I guess he's the outgoing president. He's now the spiritual advisor. And he will be coming back next year. So will the color guard. I've already talked to him. They'll be back next year. And then the gentleman behind the color guard with the red and blue, they're called shawls, but someone else might call them scarf. Those are Native American veterans. They were gourd dancing at the PowWow, but they're all Vietnam veterans.
Yeah, I could tell you had a good crowd there in the background. Yeah, that's good.
It was amazing. When the dancers were dancing, the bleachers were full, the hay bales were full, and people were stacked up 6 to 8 deep, trying to watch the dancers, trying to see it. I don't know how to make room for more people, but, I'm going to try and work on that next year.
Well, it's good that you have a good showing like this through all the years.
People were ready for an outdoor event. People were ready for the PowWow. People love to come to the PowWow and experience the music, the food. In the teepee this year, we had storytelling being done by Sue Zink. She's Nez Pierce. She is a teacher by profession, and she taught on the Navajo Indian Reservation for several years. So she was in the teepee sharing stories, which was kind of neat.
Oh, you know who I miss? The two sisters? Is it the Jen sister?
The Jen sister?
You remember? They're gone, right?
Kim Jim is,
Jim.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But her daughters used to be at the PowWow. Her two sons, one of them, I saw him recently, Jerome, and, when he and his brother were in Boy Scouts working on their Eagle Scout badges, they used to stay at the PowWow. They sleep in the teepee, so they were there to help me. I'd sleep in my trailer.
Right.
I camped at the PowWow, and the boys were there, and now they're men and they have families, and it's just my 19 years watching these young people become adults and
You need an assistant, too, to carry on, too. So you can just give orders pretty soon.
There's one young lady, she's Native American, and I would love to teach her. And it would take the whole year of working with her to get her ready to run around crazy, like she's crazy like me. But I want to talk about how we make the PowWow happen.
Yes.
Because
you need funds coming in.
Yeah, we try to do fundraisers and sponsorships, okay? Some of our the one fundraiser we've been doing for about 14 years now is taking your ink cartridges, and recycling them. And sometimes when I go to the library, we have a box at the library, I'll find a bag like this stuffed in the box there, where people, you use these at home. These are your home printer cartridges, okay? Or even some offices use these small cartridges, and other than the toners. You can take them to the library, put them in the box. I go by about once a month. I gather these up. I recycle them. We can get anywhere from, depending on which company, and I research, so I do a lot of research before I ship them off to where I can get the most money. I can get anywhere from, this is a Canon 245, I can get anywhere from $1.75 to $2.50, depending on where it's going and what month it is and all of that. So, and these I might get, these Canons I might get, I don't know, 50 cents, sometimes a nickel. I've sent in ink for as little as a nickel and as high as $2.50.
You really got to bust your tom-tom for that stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
So I remember when I was with the coalition, I was working maintenance over there, and I went into one of the single-wide trailers. They had a room. It was storage, and they had set aside all their cartridges, all different types of ink. And I asked them, "What are you going to do with that?" "Oh, we're going to recycle it someday." "And when would that be?" I says, "How about the PowWow?" And they says, "Perfect." And I think you had two
I had
carloads.
2 truckloads. Yeah. I had 2 truck. I went up there and we loaded up the back end of the truck, and then I went home and I unloaded it, and then we loaded it up again, and it was amazing. But we're running out of time, but I wanted to tell you, did you know
Go.
approximately 1.3 billion with a B ink cartridges are used around the world annually, and less than 30% are being recycled.
And that's it. We talk too much. I'm sorry. We had a wonderful powwow, and we'll see you next year.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.